Hey everyone, this is Travis with Nerds with Mics, and today I have an unboxing video for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Asus ROG Ally, the new handheld from Asus, similar to the Steam Deck and some of the others you've seen. But before we get into that, I figure I'd show you some of the handheld devices that I have and then talk about some of the previous ones that I've owned. So I do want to start off by talking about the Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild OLED Switch that I have. I've had it since its release, and before that I had the previous Switch OLED, and then before that I had the Super Smash Brothers regular one. And here you can see it with the case that I have from Skull & Co. that kind of follows the theme of Tears of the Kingdom, which I absolutely love. I feel like it complements the console very well. And it's really made it a lot more enjoyable to play in handheld mode because it adds a little extra grip, makes it a little larger. The Switch has been one of those things I don't really care to play for handheld wise. However, I also have the Hori Switch Pad. These are the compact versions of the Switch uh, controllers that they make, and I tell you, it gives you almost an Xbox like experience. It has a programmable buttons on the back, as you can see here, which you can program. Makes it super convenient, especially when playing games like Tears of the Kingdom, where you want to map some extra features to the back. Great feeling joysticks as well. Next, I wanted to show um, another device I have here made by a company called GameVice. It's called the GameVice Flex. It's actually a device that you can hook to your phone. It's a mobile phone controller, but the one thing I really like about this is it allows you to connect it to your phone regardless of what case you have. You don't have to worry about taking your case off. A lot of the other mainstream ones like the Backbone and the Razer Kishi, you have to take your case off in order to use. Oddly enough, this is actually made by the same company that made the first version of the Kishi. As you can see here, this is the device that you have that comes in it. It's a card system. Essentially, you slide your phone in the slot to find out what fits best, and it tells you the adapters that you need to use to put inside the actual controller itself, allowing you to be able to use the controller without taking your phone case off. And it feels very solid, and it feels almost just like it belongs as one device. As you can see here, it's easy to take apart, it expands, and I use this primarily mostly for remote play and xCloud gaming when on the go. And it's been honestly one of the best devices I bought this year. I think it's $100. Bought it from Best Buy. Use it for Apple Arcade as well. You know, but obviously, we know really why you're here, right? Everybody is here to take a look at the Asus ROG Ally. And I've had the Steam Deck previously, and, I really, really enjoyed it. However, one of the big things that I didn't like about the Steam Deck is if I wanted to play anything outside of Steam, I always felt like I had to do some sort of workaround. So you can't run Game Pass natively on it. I used xCloud Gaming, and I did install I did s- d- install Diablo, but I had to do a workaround. I installed the Epic launcher, and just however, anything outside of Steam always seems to feel like a workaround, and I just wanted to try something that maybe would provide a more native experience for installing all things across the board. You know, I'll be making a lot of comparisons to the Steam Deck because that's the closest thing that I have to what this is. Now, that's not to say a Steam Deck isn't a great device. I absolutely love the Steam Deck. I was just looking for something else that would give me more options without workarounds. I also decided to pick up the ROG Gaming Charging Dock. What's great about this is it's super portable, allows you to charge at 65 watts, but also allows you to plug it into a display like a TV or, a monitor. So if you're traveling to a hotel or traveling to a family member's house and want to be able to hook it up on to a larger display, this makes it super easy to do that. And it's super portable. That's the one thing I do like about this is it's portable. It's essentially a portable gaming PC. Obviously, it's not going to be the same power as a full-blown desktop, but we'll get into that. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at the mobile charging dock. Don't mind me. This is my first unboxing video that I've done in quite some time. Typically, I've always had things unboxed beforehand, but as you can tell, obviously, I'm not great at opening boxes. Um, But I am really excited to start taking this when I travel for work. I recently have moved to Atlanta. I sometimes go home to visit my family back in West Virginia. So this will be a great option for me to take back and, take some emulated games, throw them up on the TV, and have a good time at my family's. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Obviously, some standard packaging, manuals. Who needs manuals? I don't know. I don't ever read them. But anyways, looks like it comes with a really nice braided USB-C cable. This is, I'd say, probably about 6 feet long. Seems to be pretty nice quality. You know, it will definitely give you a decent length so that if you want to charge it and have it safely kind of laying up on the entertainment center or somewhere else while it's plugged into the wall and being used on an external display, you don't have to worry about not having a decent amount of cable there. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So obviously HDMI 2.0 at the top, you got USB-C and your standard USB port. So if you want to plug in any peripherals like a keyboard, mouse, whatever it may be. But I do like the fact this is a lot more compact than I felt like it was going to be based on the image that I was looking on at the box here, which is nice. I also like that the prongs flip up. That makes it really nice to store like in a bag that you're throwing it in. So that's really, really nice. So I could see myself throwing this in a case, which I haven't bought a case for this handheld yet. I didn't really like the first party option that Asus was offering, so I'm really kind of holding out for something that's more like the Steam Deck case that I have. Next, let's actually take a look at the console itself. Um, Obviously, the boxing feels fairly premium. There's two different models of this. So you have the $699 version, which is the more premium one, and then they're also coming out with a $599 model later this year. But for a $100 difference to get the faster processor, I'm not sure why you wouldn't. It seems kind of like a no-brainer for me. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Obviously, I've taken all the plastic off the box already because I didn't want to embarrass myself. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. Fairly easy to open up, obviously. You got just two plastic tabs on the top and bottom. I typically always keep the plastic on my stuff, but for the sake of this unboxing video, I just decided to take it all off. I'm very OCD in regards of that, but you know what? I'm taking one for the team just to show you guys this. But obviously, I'm really curious to know what this thing's going to feel like, what the joysticks feel like. I have heard the overall feel most people are happy with. However, it doesn't feel as premium as what the Steam Deck does. I'm also curious about the action that the joysticks have. I know that you have Hall effect on the actual back triggers. Uh, you know, the Switch is kind of too small for me to play handheld if I'm just using the native Joy-Cons, hence why I have the case on mine. Um, and then the Steam Deck, honestly, is a little too big for me because my hands aren't giant, but they're also not tiny either. So I'm hoping this kind of falls in between. That's really what I'm kind of hoping for here, is that this feels more comfortable to me. It obviously is a little bit smaller than the Steam Deck, but also a little bigger than the Switch. So I'm hoping this kind of hits that sweet spot for me as far as the portable handheld is concerned. So I will say, just impressions, I will tell you the plastic doesn't feel as premium as what the Steam Deck does. It does feel more along the lines of like what an Xbox controller would feel like in regards to that plastic. That's not to say it's a bad thing. I am curious of how the plastic is going to hold up over time. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of what's in the box here. Here's the power cord. This looks like, I'd say, about 6 feet. Same as what the previous cord that I was looking at is. This one is not braided, however. This one is just like the thick rubber material. I tell you, I am not a big fan of the fact that the prongs don't flip up like the actual travel dock. I sometimes find that when the prongs constantly stick out, it makes it harder to travel with, especially if you're trying to put it in the same case, which is another reason I didn't buy the first party version of Asus's case, is it had really just room for the console and nothing else. I also realized that in the box there's supposed to be a dock. I didn't realize that at the time of this video. It's actually at the bottom. It's in the top lid that you pull out. It's actually stuck to the underside of it, and I didn't notice that until after I recorded this video. So for those of you that get this console, just make sure to look as soon as you take the lid off. It's on the underside. That's where that little Now, don't get me wrong, that dock is not a high quality. It seems to be like maybe slightly higher than cardboard, but it's good enough for you to just have a place to sit it if you are using the travel dock, and it's easy to travel with as well. But yeah, so upon further investigation, the console is wrapped in just like very crispy, crunchy plastic, which absolutely drives me crazy. I didn't record me unwrapping it with the sound, obviously. That would be for those ASRM channels, probably for those people that like that sound. But me, it is not for me. It's not for me. I'm not a fan of that crunchy sound. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take the plastic off. So it once again, I was not a fan of how kind of it was wrapped. I felt like the unboxing experience with the Steam Deck felt a lot more premium, and it came obviously in its own carrying case, right? So I feel like obviously the performance of this thing on paper is better, right? Maybe not with low wattage performance. However, um, I was hoping to have maybe a case included, and that the unboxing experience would have been a little bit more on par with what I got with the Steam Deck. However, that's okay. But do just want to make you aware of that. Now, obviously, I was trying to use my iPhone to record this video, and I was having some issues focusing, so I apologize for that. As I continue to do these videos, I'll be trying to up the production quality and making sure that it's a better experience on your end as well. So, just flipping it over, obviously, you kind of see the RGB strip. That is not lit, but it just has that RGB look to it, that traditional ASUS look you get. You also see the venting ports from not only the back, but also the vents at the top as well. Um, and you see the two programmable slash mappable buttons on the back. I will say one thing that I wasn't sure, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel, is the back triggers are flush on the Steam Deck, where these protrude a little bit. So you have your headphone jack here, you have your micro SD card. You also have the port for an external GPU, and then also there is a USB-C port in that as well, which is where you plug in your standard charging adapters that come with it. Now, with the external GPU, what's really cool is you can use it essentially like a desktop computer. When you plug it, you set it in and plug it down, you have the power that's inside that external GPU, and essentially turns it into more of a desktop experience and desktop performance, even though that external GPU is still a mobile GPU, but it is more powerful than what's built into the Ally. Now, you have the volume triggers as well, and you have the power button. What's cool about the power button is it has a fingerprint reader built in. So if you want to unlock it, you can simply do it with your fingerprint, which is really cool. As I had stated, the triggers actually have the Hall effect, which is really nice. They seem to be pretty premium, and I feel like the triggers are better on this than they are on the Steam Deck. And you see the vents also coming not only from the back, but the top as well. Overall, I felt like the joysticks feel good. They seem to have a nice travel distance and a nice feel to them overall. I am curious of what the dead zone's like, if I'm going to experience anything with drift over time. But yeah, just overall impressions, it doesn't feel as premium as what the Steam Deck does to me, at least as of now. And in the back triggers, I am kind of concerned where my hands are going to rest on those. I did like the fact that on the Steam Deck, they were flatter, so I felt like I didn't accidentally hit them. So I am curious of what this is going to be like as well. But I do plan on doing an impression video after I get it set up and get some games on it and spend some time with it, maybe a week or two. I do plan on doing a follow-up video to this. So make sure that you like or follow the channel and hit the subscribe bell to make sure you see that follow-up video. But yeah, overall first impressions, I'm pretty pleased with it thus far. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is obviously update it. As you can see, I'm trying to power it on here, and it is completely dead, which I expected, But I'm going to do all the firmware and BIOS updates, get some games installed, play with it for a week or two, and I plan on doing a follow-up video, not only here, but also writing an article on our website at nerdswithmics.com, and you can check that out there. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited to check this out. I really want to play Diablo on it. That's one of the first things I'm going to put on is Diablo 4, and then I'm going to put some Steam games on there as well, along with some emulation stuff. As you can see, I was taking a look there at the back of those triggers just to kind of show you that they protrude a little bit. They're not as flat as what they are on the Steam Deck. Like I said, the one thing I was kind of concerned about that I saw in before release is some people were complaining about the button sticking. I pressed the buttons a few times to try to see if I could get them to stick, but it is something I will continue to monitor and see. And if that is an issue, obviously, with my impressions video, I'll make sure to call that out. But as of now, overall, it feels great. I am really curious to see what this thing can do. I also like the fact that this has an aspect ratio of 16:9 as opposed to the Steam Deck 16:10. And I like that because so far I noticed that there's way less of a bezel around the outside, so I'm kind of liking that. That is one complaint I had about the Steam Deck is I felt like the bezel was really large, where this one is a little bit smaller, and I like that a lot. One thing I'm also excited to dive into that I did a lot on my Steam Deck is the emulation portion. Now, I know that there are a couple of different ways. I know that currently in beta, they are doing EmuDeck for Windows, but only if you're currently subscribed as a Patreon member, you can get access to that. But I've also heard about Launchbox. I have not personally tried Launchbox, but it is something I'm planning on doing on here for emulation. For those of you that have had experience with either or on Windows, feel free to drop a comment below and let me know what your preferred method of emulating on the Ally is, because I am curious to hear what your all's thoughts are. Also, if there's any tips or tricks that you've had along the way for increasing performance, or anything to avoid doing to avoid those potholes of bad things happening, feel free to also drop those in the comments below. And please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel for future videos and episodes of our podcast as well. So thank you for everybody that took the time out to watch and listen, and we will catch you on the next one.